Welcome to part 2 of How to Make a Graph video series with me and Yuri. He's helping me out. Or she. I'm not sure if Yuri's a he or a she. So we've got our base graph here and we want to add stuff to it. And we need to remember that each graph you're going to add different towns or cities to it. This one is trying to figure out how does latitude affect temperature. So we're going to pick which cities have the same latitude and add them to this graph. Now, the different things that you'll be making graphs of, if you're trying to figure out proximity to water, you'll be picking some cities that are closer and further from water to make some comparisons. Or you'll pick cities that have a change in elevation, but you're trying to keep the other things the same. So what I'm doing here is, how does latitude affect temperature? I need to make sure that I'm not picking other factors to show up with this graph. So what that means is Rome is right over here. Okay, here's Rome. Beautiful Lake Delta. So here's Rome. So we're trying to figure out latitude. That is going north and south. That's the lines like a ladder. Well, I can't pick my location that was over here because that's the same latitude. And I wouldn't pick my location that's over here because that's the same latitude. What I need to do is pick some places that are further north or south. So for me, I have a place right here. I picked Charlotte. So I'll add that one to the graph. What other places did I pick, north or south? I have a place on the equator down here in Gabon. I have a place on the Tropic of, or wait, here's the equator in Gabon. I have a place on the Tropic of Capricorn in, I believe, New Zealand. So I'm going to add those places. I'm just going north and south. Okay, so you want to make sure that the places you pick reflect what you're trying to show. So the first one I'm going to add, remember, is Charlotte, because that is south of us. So latitude, different latitude. Here's what you do. Double click on your graph, and you'll pull up this chart editor. And then you go to the setup. Okay, for the setup, your x-axis is your month. So sometimes you'll have more than one thing on the x-axis. That gets really confusing. We're just trying to have multiple things on the y-axis. Okay, to do that, that is called the series. So the series is what is on the y-axis. You need to add another series. That just means add another chunk of numbers, add another line. So when I add series, I forget to do this step a lot and then I get a little frustrated. You've got to click on this right here, select data range. So I want to draw the graph for Charlotte. So I come down here to Charlotte and I click it. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight the average high temperatures for Charlotte. Okay. And I click OK. And my graph is drawn. Looks like Charlotte gets a little bit above 90, so I'm going to need to adjust my scale once I get more lines drawn. Let's start to rename these so we know which is which. If I double click on here, I can call this one Rome, New York, and hit enter. If I double click on here, I can call this Charlotte, North Carolina, and click enter. And now I've got a graph that's comparing latitude for two things. Let's go through that one more time. I have probably 4 or 5 different latitudes on here that I can put. So Gabon was another one. Wellington, New Zealand was another one. Lake Placid is pretty similar in latitude to Rome. It's not identical, but I wouldn't include that. Phoenix does have a few things going on, but Phoenix is a different latitude. You could include that. I'll do Wellington one more time to show you how this goes. So you go to Setup. You're trying to draw another line, so that's add series. So the x-axis, it's the same stuff as math class. The y-axis is the series lines. So I add the series, and I have to click this little thing right there. I'm going to go to the Wellington, average high temperatures, click OK, and there it is. And there's something really interesting going on with Wellington's info that I think Australia is AU, maybe? We'll go with that. That we can notice and we can use and we can make some claims based off of that. So here is different latitudes, and there's more that I need to put on this graph, but you would just try to choose, and you're probably going to need to ask me, which ones are different latitudes than Rome, and you're not trying to pick something that's the same latitude, because that would start to muddy the water a little bit. All right. There's part 2. Part 3 we will do tomorrow.